Hi guys, welcome to Project Management and our second module looking at project management success. And really, if we were in an in-class environment, I would always ask you, how do you define success? So really, when we are looking at how to define success within a project, it's a great place to start by asking yourself, how do you first define success? And looking at success in your job, looking at success in your school, in your grades, in your classes. How about with a project? Thinking of any project you've ever done, how did you define success? And that's really what we're going to be looking at today. What key skills are needed when we look at the success of a project, and what makes some project managers more successful than others? So some important things to consider while we're going through this PowerPoint. I'm going to try to make it fairly quick, between 5 to 10 minutes, and you can of course be taking notes the entire time while I'm talking. That always helps while you're studying. I'm going to, of course, highlight some of the key information here. So just make sure that you are taking notes while we're talking. You can see here that, and again, I'm not going to read through every single word on the slide, but you can see that every single project is going to differ in their definition of success, and that is because they all have different goals, right? So really, by deciding what the goal of the project is and how it aligns with the organization in which it is being conducted, that is how we're going to define the success of the project. What is the goal of the project? What is it trying to accomplish? So this may not be, you can see here, stakeholders may not always agree on what success looks like for a project, but there should be some, when they come together to write out the goals, the objectives, how they're going to accomplish the goals, there should be some cohesion, some consensus on what they're actually trying to accomplish with a particular project. So you can see here several of the ways that we define success in projects. Again, what I want you to focus on here is that we're achieving the original purpose, right? We're achieving the original purpose. That is one of the biggest ways to define success. Of course, you can see some of the other ones: quality, budget. We're going to be looking at 4 critical success factors, and that's something you're going to hear throughout the semester. Critical success factors are schedule, scope, budget, and quality. So we look at those 4 factors in every project, and we're going to get into defining those a little bit further. So you can see here, many times when we talk about problems within a project, sometimes the project manager can control these problems and sometimes they can't. When it's within the project itself, the project manager is absolutely able to influence those problems and come up with solutions on how to solve those problems. However, if the project is embedded in a larger organization, the project manager may have very limited pull or say-so in how to resolve a problem. For example, when I was at Smith & Nephew and I was in the fitness center managing the daily life of the fitness center, the daily programs, health and wellness activities of the fitness center, I had very little influence over the budget. That was not in my scope of practice. That was something that was handled by our facilities department within Smith & Nephew. So they had the major control over our budget. So that, again, that was out of the scope of my job. So again, you're going to have lots of different reasons for project managers not being able to take care of some of the problems at different organizational levels. So you can read through some of the reasons for troubled projects, but the ones, again, I want to highlight here: the actual project is not aligned with the organizational goals. That is incredibly important. Poor communication. We have looked at the facilitative activities of a project manager, and communication is incredibly important. So this really all comes back to an inadequate project manager. Maybe inadequate planning. Again, if a project manager is taking control of a project, they're making sure that all of these areas of concern they're looking at all these potential problems, right? They're looking at potential communication issues. They're looking to make sure there was enough planning on the front end so the actual implementation of the project or event could be successful. So it's very important to look at all of these factors for troubled projects, so you can be vigilant about these things and, of course, come up with solutions before there is a true troubled project. You can of course see here, reading through lessons from successful projects, looking at, again, really the alignment issue is such an important focal point at the organizational level. The actual project aligns with the organization's goals. And again, of course, effective management support. You can see through some of these, you will clearly understand a lot of these at the stakeholder level. You can see planning level, expectation level. You can see here the word scope. The scope, the approach, deliverables are clearly defined. When we say scope, we are really looking at the actual, if I say something is in my wheelhouse, it's in my scope, right? My background is health promotion, health education, fitness instruction, health and wellness activities, reaching different populations, personal training, right? Those are in my scope, my wheelhouse. If I'm looking at something that is out of scope, right? Engineering is out of my scope of practice. So again, when we look at a project, you're wanting to stay in scope. What did we start out doing? What did we start out to accomplish? And are we staying within those guidelines? Are we veering off towards left field? If we planned a physical activity program and project to be implemented over 6 weeks, did we adhere to physical activity? Did we jump into or did we pair physical activity and then we're like, you know what, we should do nutrition education as well, right? Did we stay on the course that we set out in the planning phase, or did we get off track a bit? So defining scope is incredibly important. So I want you to make sure that you're looking into all of these levels in terms of lessons from successful projects. You can see through this all of the team level, the management level, and then we can also look at the project manager toolkit. Incredibly important when planning a successful project. This is one of the things that you are going to be developing within your own groups. The project definition document, really, it is one of your foundational elements of project management. It's one of those core tools you can see here. You can also see several of the other documents we will be developing within your group that you will get practice on. You'll get practice to develop the project schedule. You will also get practice developing the communications plan, and we are going to discuss these other areas of important project manager toolkit, such as the RACIX matrix and the quality management plan and the risk response plan. All of those are incredibly important elements of a project manager's toolkit. So I'm going to go down here, and you can see some of these. We will not really cover the project repository as much. That'll be a little bit past this course. If you do decide to pursue project management further, you will definitely see some of these other elements. But we have talked about the project definition document. You can look at what you are required to do for your project definition document. I've created a separate video for that, reviewing the entire assignment. So looking at that video and also going through the project definition document page is incredibly important, because there will be a lot of questions on the exam about this, and having a really good understanding of the project definition document is very important so that you can be successful going forward in your group assignments as well as your individual schedule assignment. So just make sure you are reading through this, you are understanding. Feel free to ask me any questions. There is another, like I mentioned, there is another video describing the project definition document assignment as a group. So make sure that you spend some time on that. There are 6 subheadings that you will need to answer for your project definition document. Hope everyone is doing well, and I will see you next time. Thanks.